We've all seen fake screenshots floating around the internet, right? Like where you take characters, probably your own, and you make them look like they star in their own show. Sometimes there's fake subtitles in the shot because they're talking, or sometimes it's purposefully to look like a 90s anime show. I think especially if that's something that you're nostalgic about. Well, I've never done one before, so I think it's high time that I do. When I was picking the characters in the show that I wanted to base them off of, it was pretty easy. I'd kind of been sitting on the idea for at least a couple years at this point. This is my character Kels and his boyfriend Verlin. There's some of the characters between my partner and I that have an actual concrete story in the works, as opposed to just like making fun little guys in a void and throwing them at every universe. The amount of characters that I have made just because I thought the concept would be fun, and then they and then they just sit there. They sit there for ages, and sometimes I have to go, well, I think you need to go back into your hole and die, because you're not being used. It's really sad. But, ooh, actually, if you make characters, are you the type of person to make character after character after character, and you can't stop making new characters? Or do you have, like, one or two or a nice handful that are from the same story, and they're all interconnected, and you just keep working on those ones and building them up and fleshing them out, and they're really nice and full and juicy? Or, I think this is another category that counts, do you make self-inserts for everything? Or not even self-inserts, but like, do you make characters to put in media that you consume? And that's it, just one. Anyway, let me know. So I have Kels and Verlin, and their universe is set in kind of a mixture of, I would say it's more magical fantasy. It's a little bit modern though. It's the two of them combined somehow. Because it's mainly set in a magic university, Verlin's a graduate student at it, and well, I don't know if anyone here has watched Sasaki and Miyano, the anime, but Kels kind of fits pretty nicely with Sasaki. He's the orange-haired one in the screenshot. Miyano! He's a little weirdo, so I don't want to say that Verlin fits him, because he really doesn't, especially not his personality. But just the concept of guy falls in love with the kind of hard-to-get guy, that does kind of fit the two of them. So ever since I watched the anime, I've been wanting to take screenshots from the show and stick them in there, whether they fit it or not. The scene I picked actually wasn't the scene that I've been sitting on for ages. This is the one that I was forever ago planning on doing, and I can't remember why, but ironically both of them are window shots, huh? Something about these windows. But I switched to this one because I thought, with the idea that I had in mind when I first saw it, I thought I could execute it pretty well, and it would work as its own little story if you just viewed it by itself. Like, you don't need to know what happened before or after. And I'm not trying to make a comic today. So I only partially followed the screenshot when I was making my own version. Part of me was debating doing a one-to-one where I put them in the exact same pose as the original one, but it didn't really fit them. Kels isn't the type of person to be outwardly possessive of his partner, especially before they're dating. And he would never put himself in a similar scenario to this scene in the show, which I think is like Sasaki overhears a fellow student talking to Miyano. I can't remember what they were talking about. Probably gay shit. And then he just reaches through the window and grabs Miyano like he's his. So Kels would never do that. I think if he did that, there's a 50-50 chance that Verlin would just get mad at him anyway. What the hell are you doing? But beyond that, I didn't want to just copy the screenshot anyway. I wanted to make it my own, like I said. So a little bit about their world and their story, if you will. Kels and Verlin come from a magical world, like I said. There's different types of universities. Some of them are magic focused, some of them probably aren't. Those ones don't have any conceptualizing done yet because it's not the focus. But each magic university is pretty specialized in what they focus on. So there's different kinds of magic that you can study. The one that Verlin is trying to get into is specialized in contractual magic between well, it would be the main user for him, and then you can either have like a familiar, like an animal, or you can make a contract between another magic user. The two of them don't know each other previously because, well, this isn't really a spoiler to the eventual future comic that's sort of in the works, but Kels is from our world, so it's kind of like an isekai, but don't bully me. I'm pretending it's not an isekai. Yeah. Kels is originally from our world. He is in a shitty situation in his home life, and something shenanigans, he signs a contract in his dreams, and he ends up in Verlin's world instead. And he spends a good few weeks thinking he's either dreaming or high or both. I say all of this about their story, but that could be absolutely gone in a week. My partner and I have rewritten their story a million times. Sometimes the things you love need to be put through a paper shredder and taped back together in a new way. And then it somehow looks prettier, even though there are weird holes and that you haven't found a piece that fits there yet. That being said, Verlin's super focused on his academics. I mean, he's a grad student in the magic equivalent of STEM. He has to be. He's in research. He's writing a paper. Or at least that's what he wants to. He needed Kels and his contract because he lost his original one. Well, he didn't lose it. He broke it off. But anyway, so while he's running around with his head in his books and his papers, Kels just kind of gets to wander around, learn about this world, wonder if he's still dreaming. I think he definitely has to study somewhat, especially in the beginning so that he can help Verlin get into the program, because he comes from a world that doesn't have magic, and he doesn't know how to do the magic that he's supposed to be here to do. But beyond that, it's not like, well, we haven't figured this out yet either, but I don't think Kels needs to really study anything. I don't think he's a student there. I think he's just freeloading, and that's a pretty sweet deal for him. He's okay with that. He falls in love with Verlin faster than Verlin falls for him, for sure, and he's a lot touchier than Verlin is, so in terms of this piece, this is probably semi-early on when they're comfortable with each other, but they're nothing beyond friends. They're still, I wouldn't even call them good friends at this point. Kels just got more comfortable with Verlin at a faster rate. So like, Verlin probably got distracted with whatever he was reading, and Kels has been looking high and low for him. Oh, also, I think this is still canonical, but Verlin takes portals everywhere around the university because it's faster for him, but Kels, with all the free time in the world, just wanders everywhere. He walks physically throughout this massive building. It's probably multiple buildings because most universities are on a campus. So he walks everywhere and he knows it like the back of his hand. Verlin doesn't know how to get anywhere without a portal. So that's terrible for Kels if he's trying to find Verlin and he doesn't know where he currently is. Because he could know where he was an hour ago and he could be across campus in the span of a second. I can just imagine the two of them trying to find each other, and for some reason they don't have any way to contact each other. Like, I don't know, Kels forgot his magic thing. Whatever the equivalent is for phones, if they have that. And so both of them are searching high and low for each other, and they just keep missing each other. I still like the idea of taking a screenshot from a show and redoing it one-to-one with my own characters though. Like, instead of changing the pose and everything. Maybe even in the show's style, like a style challenge. I've seen people do screenshot redraws too, and I think those are super cool. And I've also never tried those. Man, there's so many things I've never tried to do before, and I want to do them all. Anyway, the screenshot totally doesn't have to be from an anime though, because it can be from a different style of show. Like it can be a different animation style. It can be live action. Speaking of screenshots from TV shows and movies, I don't know if anyone else was aware of this, but there are whole websites dedicated to cataloging screenshots from shows and movies. And they're high quality too. Like, I feel like this has been missing from my life. The site I used was called fancaps.net. I included it in the description in case anyone else wants to take a peek-see. But I did notice when I was trying to find that website again that there are other ones. No idea if they're good or not. Now, if anyone knows of a similar site that does this with games, I am still crying every time I want to draw any of the Baldur's Gate 3 characters. Also, speaking of drawing something one-to-one, despite the fact that I basically copied the background from the original screenshot, I drew it out myself and I adjusted it a little for how I wanted, but I think I still didn't plan it out enough. Like, I had references of Kels and Verlin, and I knew how I wanted them to be posed, but I don't have any type of reference for what their university looks like, or even just their world in general. I just know that it's magical, and it has pretty colors, and it's magical. My partner is the character designer between the two of us, loves designing, gorgeous designs. I eat them up all day. The references you see me pull up when I'm coloring the two of them, most of them are design concepts made by them. Like, it's great, I just get to show up and draw my pretty children, and I don't have to think about what they look like. But neither of us are world concept designers, so we haven't gotten around to the concept of the school that much. There's ideas floating around. I think there's like a semblance of a floor plan somewhere. I know we talked about certain walls being made of obsidian, but yeah, not really much past that. To be honest, I don't even know what their windows look like. I presume they have glass, but the way that I drew it, just taking it from the original screenshot, I'm pretty sure is even too modern, real world for what their world should be. All of this to say, I didn't plan out their background whatsoever, and I hardcore avoided finishing it until the very last minute. Like, I kept looking at it as I was doing the colors and the shading and finishing touches, and I kept going, yeah, you really should think about that. So I'm not gonna do it yet. I know from experience, it's way better to A, plan out your background and fit things into it before you leave the sketching phase, and B, color and render your background alongside your characters rather than after at the end, so that you can fit them in and make it all harmonious. Like, I could have had the lighting be a little different, be a little bit more focused on a difference from the sun outside versus the magic lights inside or something like that. And like, I would have liked some more magic elements inside the building, but I didn't do that. So that's why I'm telling you about it and not doing it. Also, I completely forgot to draw in Kels's beard. I mean, it's more like scruff, but he's supposed to have facial hair. They're both somewhere in their mid to late 20s, but now they both look like they're just young. Like, Verlin always looks young. I don't think he's physically capable of growing facial hair. I'm pretty sure his mother's genetics killed his facial hair, because his dad does have some. But I think him and his brother are just cursed. But now Kels also looks kind of baby. And I really didn't mean for that to happen. I forgot. I'm sorry, Kels. But all that being said, here's the final result. For a first time screenshot, I think it's pretty cute. I like how I figured out the text, even though it kind of feels like it's a little bit too blending in with the rest of the piece. I probably should have looked up what other shows do for their subtitles. Another thing that I could have planned out better. Are we sensing a theme yet? I added a noise filter over top just to give it that slight grainy look that I think is more akin to older anime. There's my little guys. There's my little baby boys. Thank you to YouTube for giving me even more reasons to draw my children than I ever do, because let me double check. Hold on, let me look. When the last time I drew both of them was? Last time I drew Verlin was in August of 2024. That's not so bad. Last time I drew Kels was April 2023. That's pretty bad. And the last time I drew them together is more of a question of if I ever did. May 2022. May 2022, I did draw them together technically. And I think this is really the first time I've actually drawn them together. Congratulations, boys. Mother doesn't love you that much. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. I've been sitting and thinking about what future videos I want to make while I was in the middle of this one, because I realized that I've just been drawing pieces and not really with any sort of super clear direction in mind. But now I've got some things cooking that I am excited about. I really want to dig into stories and characters way more than I have, like with fandom characters too, not just my own characters. Both. I'm here for both. So if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a like and subscribe to see me draw more OC and fandom related content. I might do some Animal Crossing designs next time. I'm still chewing on it, but turning Animal Crossing into human designs is another thing that I've always wanted to do, and I just never got around to it. Wish me luck as the person who never designs characters. Also, let me know in the comments. Do you have a show that you would die to see your characters inserted into? I would love to put any of mine in the show of Arcane, but I think at the end of the day, that's just me wanting to steal all of Fortitia's art knowledge. God, their art is gorgeous. I want to eat it.